Today, I'm talking to a houseplant brand. They've got a store, they're doing a little bit online, but in my opinion, they've barely scratched the surface, and they're really keen to grow. Her business year on year is significantly down. Is that due to just market conditions? We're all in a cost of living crisis, or is it something else? Or is it just that she's not doing online well enough? That's going to be the conversation today. Let's get into it. Welcome to Grow with Evergreen, the podcast designed to help you grow your business by providing practical insights into all things paid media, creative, and digital strategy. Every episode, we help home, garden, and lifestyle brands with their growth challenges by delving into their business, dissecting what they're doing, and defining a digital growth strategy they can take and deploy into their business. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome back, beautiful people. I hope you're all doing well. It's a beautiful sunny day as we are recording this. And today, not for the first time, I'm talking to a brand, a business that sells houseplants. A little bit of a recurring theme there. Maybe it's the Evergreen. Maybe it's the home and garden focus that people see Evergreen and they just think, yes, plants. I want to talk about that from a marketing perspective. The brand I'm talking to today is called Fern Ivy. Kate's joining us as our guest, and her business, it's an interesting one, this one. So she's got a store, she's got a shop in Cirencester in Gloucestershire. So if you're local, go and check it out. And she's doing a little bit online. So it's a small business. She's doing a few £1,000s a month. Year on year, we had a little pre-chat, and year on year, she's doing less revenue, pretty much half the revenue that she was doing last year. And so she's come on the pod because she said, I just don't know. What else should I be doing? Am I doing something wrong? Is it just those external outside factors, the market conditions, the cost of living crisis? Why are fewer people buying my product? Now, what I find really interesting about this one is that such a high proportion of her sales are coming in via the store, and very little, what's more surprising is very few of those sales is coming on online. Now, she's doing some stuff on Instagram. She's not doing any paid ads. Because as she says, I'm not doing paid ads because I don't know how to do them. And I've definitely got some thoughts on some of the things she should be doing, even in a relatively modest way. In my opinion, she absolutely should be doing a little bit online, a little bit more than she is doing, because I haven't told her this yet, but on her Instagram, she's actually doing some fantastic stuff. She seems really confident and natural on camera, and she's doing some really great stuff, some behind the scenes stuff, which is what we advocate all the time. So delighted to see that. But clearly, the effort she's putting in, she's not getting the return. And I think that's a problem. So that's going to be the conversation. I'll run you through her marketing challenges before we bring Kate on. Because anyone that comes on the pod, we ask that they are honest and open and that they share their marketing challenges. Because what I want to do with this podcast is be able to equip Kate with some things that she can take and deploy straight into her brand, and then improve and increase those sales from today, from tomorrow. You know, why not? So the first marketing challenge she's put is knowing how best to create a targeted campaign. She's in the right place. I've got some ideas on that one. And then the second one is understanding how best to utilize the different platforms effectively. Again, kind of those two are going to merge one into the other. And then the third one, as so many of you will be able to relate to, budget and time. There's never enough time, and budget is always being pushed. So that's going to be interesting. She is using Instagram. We say, what are you doing currently? She is using Instagram. She's tried a little bit of meta ads, but couldn't get it to work. Familiar story. So we'll get into what she did and how she did it. She's not currently spending anything on ads. I think she's willing to and open to the idea of investing a little bit in ads to sort of prove the model and get a bit of traction. But as she said, I need to know how to do it and what to do. She wants to grow the business. I think for her, the big thing right now is get back to the revenues of last year and then push on. So I think that, and we'll get more into exactly what that looks like. She's got this shop in Cirencester that's open daily. She's got a member of staff that works there full time, and then she's got a few questions that are largely built around paid media and marketing, which we're going to come on to. So that's the lay of the land. As I say, the brand's called Fern and Ivy. The shop, the aesthetic, I love it. It's very, very nice. So she's done a really good job with that. And I want to get in and I want to understand the shop. And then I want to really look at, from an online perspective, how do we take a small business that's got a bricks and mortar store, and how do we leverage the internet, leverage online to really ratchet things up? So let's get Kate on, Darren, if you wouldn't mind doing the honors, and we'll get into this one. Good stuff. Kate, are you there?
Hi, yes, I am.
Kate, welcome to the Grow with Evergreen podcast. Delighted to have you on. How are you doing? You well?
Yeah, I'm really well. Excited to be on. Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. So just give us a little 30-second snapshot, your business. What is it? I sort of did probably an okay job of introducing it, but yeah, tell us more. What is your business?
You did a great job. So in lockdown, I started bringing more plants into the house and learning about how to care for them. My background is in education. So when I found that they were actually really easy to look after when you know some basic things, I kind of took that forward. I was looking for a new challenge at the time, and decided to start selling online. It kind of snowballed, and I quit my job and opened a shop within a year, basically. And
Wow, I love
yeah,
that.
my raison d'être for I was a French teacher, is kind of teaching people the basics of plant care. We want our customers to feel confident and empowered that they can look after plants. So people that
Okay.
come in and say, "Oh, I always kill everything,"
Okay.
they are our ideal
Give
customer.
us a couple of tips there. Come on, for anyone listening, everyone, most people are going to have some degree of plants in their home. I
Yeah.
should think. Give us a couple of tips. Come on.
The most basic thing for every houseplant is getting the balance between light and water right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got two plants exactly the same and you put one in a window and one on like your coffee table 2 meters away from the window, and you water them every week the same amount of water, the one on the coffee table is going to die quicker because it's not got as much light, so it doesn't need as much water.
Okay.
That's
And
the most basic thing.
And is that common? Is that one of the reasons that people, I've killed the plant, it can't last? Is it because they're either overwatering or underwatering, right?
Yeah, most commonly overwatering. People tend to see a sickly plant and think it needs water.
Yeah.
So yeah, they killed with kindness. But yeah, really easy to
Okay.
figure that out.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's good stuff. So there you go. If your plants are on a coffee table, don't water them as frequently. Right. Okay. Sorry, you were saying. So yeah. So okay. So you started the business in lockdown. You opened the store in, you said 2021.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that's quite, just from the outset, that's quite a big move to open a business and then within a year have a physical store. How did that come about? I'm fascinated by that. How did you just decide to take the leap from selling a few plants online to I'm going to get an actual physical store?
It was never in the plan. I have an incredibly supportive husband.
Okay.
So who is happy to kind of take the financial reins at home for a little while I start it up. So that really helps kind of take the pressure off, because running a business is not easy. And it was never in the plan to have a physical shop. I knew I wanted the challenge of running a business. I wanted to leave education, and kind of have a bit of a change. And I was selling at markets.
Sure.
I was talking about owning a shop one day. Somebody said, "There's a unit down the road that's empty. Go and have a look." I poked my head in, called up the agent, and had the keys within a week and opened the following
Wow.
week. We just went.
Amazing.
I'm a bit impulsive.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that. It's
We
proper
went with it.
entrepreneur. And you haven't run a business before or anything like this? Is this sort of all new territory for you?
I have run a business before. I used to live in Spain,
Okay.
and I owned a beauty salon in Spain.
Ah,
So
okay.
I
So
have
this is
run a
not your
business.
first rodeo.
It's not, but running a business in Spain is very, very different to running a business in the UK.
Different, good, different, harder, different, easier, different.
I mean, just very different, totally different models as well. A
Yeah,
beauty salon is
sure.
very different to a retail store. The
Interesting. Okay.
service versus retails, but yeah, just lots of things
Yeah.
very, very different.
Okay. All right. So you've got the store, and then what does it look like over the last couple of years? Then I sort of said at the top, you've had last year was better in terms of top line numbers than this year. So just give us a kind of a picture of what the business has looked like, how it's performed over the last 2 or 3 years.
So we started off quite well in the shop. We gained traction in the town quite quickly.
Yep.
My customers before that were in Swindon predominantly. So I was finding that a lot of my customers from Swindon were making the journey up to Cirencester to come and visit, which was great. We, not long after opening, we hit the threshold to become VAT registered.
Mm-hmm.
And then last year turned over 6 figures, which was great.
Mm-hmm.
And then this year it's just sort of, the figures are just sort of slowly dropping slightly. It still feels quite busy. I don't think we're doing more or less online. that hasn't really changed very much.
Okay.
My customers tend to use my website to book onto our workshops. I don't see that many sales through my website further afield. So
Okay.
my kind of audience is very local at the moment, and I'm
Yep.
struggling to grow it outside of that area.
So, but what I want to drill into this, because I think this is key how I can help. So, last year you were doing about 100, 110, 120 in terms of turnover, yeah?
Yeah,
And now this year that's significantly dropped. Have you
yeah.
looked into, do you know where the drop off is? So is it the online that's dropped off, or is it the offline? Is it just that you're not getting the people through the store, or is it that you are getting the footfall but they're not buying? Where do you see the drop off? Because to drop by revenues by half or
Yeah.
there or thereabouts, that's a significant drop. So have you identified where that's coming from?
Yeah, it's the physical store is taking less. I think it's about 35-40% less overall.
Okay.
I'm not seeing much difference online.
Okay.
That's quite
And
steady. But then again,
fine.
I've not really ever had the kind of customer base that are buying plants online. They tend to be it's tend to oh, sorry. People tend to be booking on to my workshops through my
Yeah,
website.
sure. But you said you're also on some online marketplaces, Etsy, not on the high street, eBay as well,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
You said that in the pre-chat chat. So,
Yes. Yeah.
so we've got those. So you've got those additional marketplaces. Plus, your website is e-commerce, so you can buy through the website, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it Shopify? This site?
It's Square.
So, okay, fine. So you're down about 35-40%. So have you noticed? Is there a difference in the footfall to the website to the store? Are you seeing
It's
fewer
really
people?
hard to tell. I think on some days, yes, especially over weekends, we're definitely noticing less people in
When do
town.
you go back to the first year? Because you've had that store open essentially 3 years now, yeah?
Yeah,
Best part.
coming up. Yeah.
So the first year you're going to get that, new store in the town, there's a
Hmm.
buzz, everyone, you're going to naturally get more in that first sort of 6 to 12 months. So,
Yep.
and that's where you're pushing on, you don't have anything to base. So you're going through the VAT threshold and it all is well.
Yeah.
Second year, you've continued that momentum. Just so I sort of paint a picture. So second year, you've continued that momentum. You've grown a little bit, but I would say the year-on-year growth has probably slowed because if you've gone
Hmm.
from 80, 90 up to 100, so you've almost kind of plateaued really in that second year. And then
Yeah.
in the third year, you've dropped. Is that a fair
Yeah.
assessment?
Yes. Perfect.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. So what we've got to understand then is how ideally the sort of the footfall in if you're sensing there are fewer people coming to the store, then that part of that may well be marketing, market conditions, the cost of living, all of
Hmm.
those things, those external factors which we don't really have a control of, but they are going to play a part. If I think about our client portfolio, those that have physical stores and showrooms and stuff like that, absolutely they are sensing it. So the name of the game and the way we fix this is think about how do we market ourselves to get in front of more people, because what marketing are you doing at the moment in terms of forget specifically online, but in terms of raising awareness of the brand, of hey, we've got a physical store? What are you doing?
Nothing.
And
Blank
this is probably
canvas.
why. Yeah. So this is probably right. This is probably why this is going to be why you're not growing, and why the brand. If you're not
Yeah.
marketing yourself, you can't. Having a store is great, but
Yeah.
you've got to drive people to that. You've got to drive that awareness. You're going to get some that's just passers by, walk-ins, of course. But
Yeah.
we've got to be marketing.
Yeah. Of course.
Particularly when times are hard, you've got to be marketing. So this is okay. Now, what percentage of your business do you think is coming online versus offline? We've got the store, and we sort of have diagnosed kind of that seeing less footfall, fewer sales.
Yeah.
Online, what proportion of the business does that represent, as far as you know?
Sales online through the website are
Yep.
probably around 9%,
Wow.
8 or
Okay. Okay.
9%.
Okay. So really small. So you're doing
Really
so.
small.
So in terms of, if you think of the last 3 months, average total amount of sales in actual pounds, how much we're doing? We're doing £1,000 a month, less, more.
Um, Probably about 800 a month online. No,
Okay.
less,
Right.
way less.
And okay,
Sorry.
fine.
I honestly, I don't know.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
I'll be
This
honest,
is why
I haven't got a clue.
I want you to. I want to challenge you so you can go away. You'll be able to listen to this back, and then you'll be able to go, okay, yeah, I need to go and drill into my numbers. Now you've obviously got the workshops, so we're not just selling products. We're selling the workshops.
Yeah.
How frequently are you doing those?
So I've had a bit of a break
Okay.
this year, which has probably impacted figures.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 2 this month, 1 next month, and then I'll probably do 2 a month in the lead up to Christmas and January,
So
February.
on a
I'm quite
general
busy now.
month, you'll do one to
1
two
to
a
2.
month. Is that across the year? Pretty standard, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of give myself a break because having to work really, really long hours takes its toll.
Sure.
But yeah,
How
roughly
long
one
is
or
a
2 a month.
workshop?
Couple of hours.
Okay, and you charge £45 for a workshop. How many people?
Maximum of 8 in the shop, but I also travel, so I do corporate workshops as well.
Okay.
So I'll go up to like Birmingham or Cardiff and
But
host.
these workshops, the ones you got on the website right now, these are in the store.
Yeah,
And on an average, how many people do you typically get turned up to a workshop?
usually between 6 and 8. We're normally fairly fully booked.
Okay, so if we took an average of, if we said 6, if we went to the lower end of that, so a workshop's probably worth about £300 to you on
Yeah.
average. Okay, so fine. So you're doing a couple of them. So you probably got £600 a month in a couple of workshops,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've got some sales, and then you've got a subscription part to the business as well, right? What's that?
Yeah, so we've recently launched the Plant and Pot subscription box. It's unique because my friend is a ceramicist, so our
Mm-hmm.
pots are handmade by another
Okay.
small business. So we've sent out our first box, and we're about to
Okay.
launch our second in September.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Okay. And then in terms of, you've obviously got some gifts, you've got plant care pots, plants. Okay, fine. Okie dokie. So I think, let me just pull it back up my notes here. So, okay. So what would I be doing to grow this business? Because it looks to me you're trying to do a lot of different things. If the revenues are minimal, and you've got you've got many different. You've got the online side, you've got the offline side, you've got workshops, you've got subscriptions, you've got sales, you've got a bit of everything going on. So
Yeah,
we've got a lot of services. But the trouble is we're not marketing any of these things. And I think this is a
yeah,
classic trait I see for a lot of small businesses is you're running around being very, very busy, doing a lot of things. But I would argue not many of those things are actually driving much revenue.
yeah,
And so what you need to do for if this was my business, how I would grow this business, you need to focus. So you need to look at where are you going to earn, where's going to be the key revenue drivers for you. Now your biggest overhead is going to be your shop. So
yeah.
I think your shop is to get this business back into doing 6 figures a year, which should not be difficult to
Mm-hmm.
do.
Yeah,
I would be focusing on the shop. I think having the things like the workshops and stuff like that, I think that is a good thing, because I think that's getting footfall to the stores. So I think there's, for me, I think the workshops is a really good angle. But what I'd be doing with the workshops is, are you pushing those out on local community, the Facebook groups and all of that sort of stuff to get the word out there? Are you pushing those, fairly
yeah.
aggressively?
So this is a real issue. The Cirencester local Facebook page does
Mm.
not allow small businesses or any business to advertise.
Okay, but that one may not. But then there'll be other community groups. I can pretty much guarantee there'll be others around there that will allow you to do it. So
Yeah,
you're gonna have to do some
it's
research.
hard. There aren't very many,
Okay.
and there's one that
But
there.
go outside of Cirencester then, because Cirencester is small anyway. So I'd be
Okay.
casting a wider net.
Oh,
It's
okay.
for the workshops, because not everyone is going to be right on your doorstep with this. For the idea of a workshop, I would be going slightly further afield. I mean, you're not going to go miles and miles and miles, but think of the next biggest towns. Go slightly
Okay.
broader for the workshops. You need to be with the workshops. You need to be getting those, community and build and tapping into the community side on socials is going to be key. And you're doing some really good stuff on Instagram. You're putting some really good content out that is exactly the sort of content you should be doing. You're telling the story, you're educating, you're
Hmm.
putting yourself on camera, which is great. So I love the fact that you're doing all of that stuff.
Thanks.
What you need to do with this business, you need to market it. You need to actually
Yeah.
start doing it. Now, you obviously, what you need for this, paid social is going to be just vital for you. Now, you said you sort of dabbled a little bit with Meta.
Yep.
What did you do, and how did you do it?
So I have tried to create posts that are like advert posts that highlight a particular product or our store or our website. I can't remember how I set the perimeters. I probably set them by budget. I probably didn't look at audience closely enough. And I saw that there were lots of impressions, but I wasn't really getting enough clicks, or I was getting clicks, but I couldn't see any sales. So they weren't becoming transactional.
Fine. For this though, you're going to make some online sales, but the shop for you is going to be the key driver. It has to be, until you get to 500,000 in revenue, probably 300,000-400,000. The online is going to play second fiddle to the store. So this for me, the first 250, 300, 400,000, until I get the business to that size, you need to put all your focus on the shop in terms of raising the profile of that shop. So things like Meta ads, Instagram, Facebook, that is going to be such a great way of you to raise the profile locally. So I wouldn't be worrying. There are some targeting in terms of interest-based targeting and stuff like that you could focus in on, in terms of people that have an interest in what you're selling. But the big thing for you is location. This is location. You would need to be targeting Cirencester, the surrounding areas, with adverts. Try different creative. You could try static image. You could shop front image, or I'd be showing that. Some of your other content, you need to mix up and try the different creative. If some of your behind the scenes stuff to humanize it. Hey, this is me. This is my shop. This is what I do. You need to. It's selling you. It's selling you, and as the person behind the brand, clearly you're happy to be on camera.
Yeah.
But the power of paid social is you can target it, but in a very, very local area. Because what you need to do is you need to raise your brand awareness to drive footfall to the stores. And the call to action should be, to drive people to the stores. I wouldn't be focusing in this case on driving people to buy online. That's going to be. I don't think that's the right strategy for you here. This is we stock plant. We stock all of these different products. We have a subscription model. We also run these workshops. Do you have in your store, do you have enough? I don't know how big it is. Do you have any way of making like any sort of teas, coffees or anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah, we've got tea and coffee facilities, yeah.
But in terms of like, is there any way for people to actually sit down, I'm just thinking for the whole community vibe, is there any way of when you do stuff like, do you have the space to do anything like that?
So when we host workshops, we have to move everything out of the way and set up tables in the middle of the shop. There's nowhere I really toyed with the idea of like getting a coffee machine and having a little seating area in the shop somewhere, but it's just not big enough.
Okay,
realistically,
fine. Okay.
I think ROI on space.
Fine. Yeah, no, that's fine. That's why I didn't know if you had the space. It's what this is very, very simple for me. You will see a lift in online sales if you focus on just driving brand awareness locally, and just get people in the store, because then once they're in the store, they're going to buy. You're going to be able to educate them. They're going to buy into you. They're going to you're local. The range is good, and stuff like that. And then you can upsell the workshop, stuff like that. You can say, oh, you can buy online and stuff like that. That is an absolute must for you. Now, what you also want to be doing, baked into your meta ads, is some retargeting. Do you know the difference between prospecting and retargeting?
No.
Right. So prospecting is basically new customers, right? So what you want to do, you create a campaign. So I would keep this really simple, really, really simple. I would have one campaign set up on Meta. Within that, you maybe have a couple of different ad sets, but crucially, it's going to be about the creative. So you have one campaign that's targeting a very localized area, 5-mile radius, whatever, that's around Cirencester. You then try different creatives. So maybe you have, as you say, you try different imagery. I would mix it up, try 3 or 4 different types of creative, let them run for a couple of months. You put a budget to it, maybe, I don't know. I mean, start really, really small. Start with, 10, 15 pound a day kind of thing, 20 pound a day. Don't worry about, am I going to get, for you, it's not about, am I going to get an ROI on the ads in terms of that I can track from an online sales perspective. You're not doing the volumes. What you need to do is you need to look at your P&L essentially from a shop performance in the last 6 months. Okay. And go, right, well, on average, the shop is delivering 5K, 10K, 20K a month, whatever it's doing. And then I would be saying, right, I'm going to turn on ads. I'm going to spend £1,000, £1,500, a month. So if you spend £1,500, that's 50 quid a day. It's not a huge, amount of money.
Okay.
And then I'd be just tracking that, and I'd be looking at a P&L for such a small business. You need to be looking at going, what did the shop turn in terms of revenue in the next 6 months? That's the way you're going to be able to judge the success. It's not about, and what everyone does, okay, is you'll start running ads for a week or two. You'll get nervous because you go, oh, well, I'm not getting the sales, or I feel like I've spent £800. All this is getting a bit scary, and you'll turn the ads off. That's what everyone does.
Yeah.
You need to take a longer term view on this and go, right, actually, let me look at this. What is my business turning right now? And then what am I doing once I turn some ads on? And that's the way you need to approach this. You keep the ads really, really simple. You think about what is the USPs, right? The USPs of this is it's the location. Are you very visible? Are you like on a high street or something?
No, we're just off the main street, one of the main streets.
But are you in, I don't know, sorry, are you in the, if someone's in the town, could they find you easily enough? Yeah. Right. This is so easy. So this is what you need to do is you just run really, really targeted ads. You focus in on the USPs. I'd be thinking about, you've got your workshops. I would also be doing that from a retargeting perspective. So sorry, that's what I was saying. Prospecting new customers, retargeting is engaging those that have shown in, maybe they've been on your website. So again, it takes a little bit of setting up, but you can get someone to set it up for you. I wouldn't be paying them to manage it. I'd just say, set it up, show me how to run it, and then I can keep an eye on it because it's going to be so small. But you get the setup done right, and then you can just keep an eye on it. But retargeting, the idea of that is that you can keep the brand top of mind. So once someone's engaged with you, as they've been on the website, maybe they've bought or whatever, I would be making a point of then showing them ads. You must see it when you go on websites and then you see the ad pop up the next day on your Facebook, and you see that and you go, oh, they're following me around the internet. You want to do that, but for local people.
Okay.
Yeah. So prospecting, and what I'd probably do is set up with an Advantage Plus. So Advantage Plus is a type of campaign in Meta. It essentially does both prospecting and retargeting. So I'd be setting up a campaign like that, trying a mix of different creative. Again, stuff, you've got it's just pull stuff off your Instagram and stuff like that. Selling those USPs. You can come here. We've got workshops and so on.
Okay.
And then once they're in the store, you'll be able to sell to them. I have no doubt. If I walked into your store, I'd probably walk away with a bunch of plants. So it's, that's not going to be the problem. It's just getting that visibility. Yeah, that for me is to get you up to doing 250, $250,000, 300, 400,000. That's what once you get to about 300, but with a localized store, once you get to 250, 300, then you're probably going to have exhausted the local opportunity, not just in Cirensis, but the surrounding area. Your online side will be ramping up. It will probably be contributing a third of that revenue. I think that at that point, the online side will take more of an important role to really scale the business. If you want to kick on to 400,000 or 500,000 beyond, the online side, but to do that first $250,000, this is all about the store. Before we go any further, are you enjoying today's episode? If so, you'll love our other show, Tea Talks. They're short, informal chats where the Evergreen experts and I share actionable nuggets on all things paid media, creative, and digital strategy that we use daily when growing our clients' businesses. And best of all, much like this podcast, it's completely free. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, see the link in the description. Now, let's get back to it. Another question, have you got an email list? How many of all your customers that have bought from you so far?
Have I got what? Sorry?
An email list. So have you got people you've got an email list?
Yeah, we have. Sorry, you cut out a little bit. Yes, we have got an email list.
No.
So 1,000 people, I think.
Right. And are you doing anything with that email list? Are you sending any emails?
Yes, probably not consistently enough or regularly enough.
When was the last time you sent an email to that list?
Maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay. And before that, how frequently are you doing these things?
It's probably once or twice a month. Twice at most.
So you need to. I'd be looking at, and critiquing what sort of messages you're sending. Look at the engagement. Are people reading? Are they clicking through? Are they buying? Like what calls to action are you doing? Are you mixing up? Are you trying different things? I'd also be doing, have a look at some of your competitors. So have a look. Not so much the local one, but some of the bigger ones. Sign
Yeah.
up for their mail lists. See what they're doing. Yeah, get some ideas from some of the bigger boys in terms of what they're doing.
Yeah.
To maximize. And the good thing is, if you've got over 1,000 on your email list, when you get Meta set up, you know what you can do? You can plug that email list, because they're active customers. You can plug that email list into Meta. So if I've been a customer of yours maybe a year ago,
Okay.
I could then see your ad's going to then pop up on my Facebook, my Instagram, and it says, hey, Fern and Ivy, we're doing this, we're doing that. Here's the products. I think, yes, I haven't been to that store in a while. I'm going to go back there.
Okay.
Yeah, you can take that email list and you can get your ads in front of the people. And the best thing about this, Kate, is with retargeting, with the way you set up localized ads, is you're only going to be doing it to those within a set area. So they're tied physically near the location.
Yeah.
And you're only doing it to those that have shown a vested interest. They've been a customer or they've been on your website. So you're not going out to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. You're going to people that have either raised their hand and said, hey, I'm local and I'm interested, or better still, I've previously purchased from you. This is super, super powerful stuff, because otherwise you're working so hard to drive those people to the store. They maybe, they're walking by or whatever. You need to be staying top of mind for those folks, because for this business, the first sale is important, but you need to get them for the second sale. That's how you're going to increase the average order value, the lifetime value. Because if you can get them back to buy a second time and a third time, and hey, plants do die. People want to get new plants. They want to, there's no shortage of things. I've got one or two. Oh, I want a new plant for the bathroom. I need a new plant for the kitchen. This is something you need to try and make it a habit, particularly for those within your local area.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the best way you're going to be able to do that is using paid social. The other thing I'd be doing when you're thinking about running some ads is have some localized, have you ever thought about running, like, you've got your workshops, but you need to be putting a label on things. So could you run a summer special, or like an open day event, or a discount day, or you need to get creative and think of, have like a theme or something that's happening at the store. So it gives you an excuse to market it, right? And this is really, really powerful, because then let's say you were going to do an end of summer or an autumn something, and you could just think of there's a theme around plants and plant care and this, that, and the other, maybe for a certain time of the year, or for you, actually think about it, a certain type of occasion. So let's say it's coming up to, Valentine's or certain occasions of the year. You could say, hey, we're running a workshop, or we're running discounts, or you turn it into a thing. It gives you an excuse to say, hey, we're having an open day, we're doing this special event, or we're running this, whatever it is, on this date. When you're doing that, and if it's free to, because essentially, of course it's free, you're driving footfall to the store, right? It's not about, you're not saying, hey, come and buy from me. You're saying, hey, come and do this. Maybe you put on something and you host something locally, and it's have a glass of Prosecco, a free glass of Prosecco and stuff like that. Almost like a launch party. But it doesn't have to be a launch, but having those kind of things, great excuse to raise brand awareness, great opportunity to get it out into the local community groups, great opportunity to put a few quid behind some really super localized advertising and say, hey, in 3 weeks, 6 weeks time, on this day at this time, come along to Fern and Ivy. We're having a Prosecco and whatever, thing, and everyone's going to get to walk away with a little tiny thing. It's going to cost you, but in terms of that, building that, particularly for a local business, building that know, like, and trust, getting in front of people, building that rapport, and think word of mouth. I mean, there's so many things you could do. You could run a competition if you did that. Everyone that comes along, if they take a selfie and they tag your Instagram, they get entered into a competition to win a subscription. There's just so many ways you could market this. Do you see what I mean? And again, with this, I know I'm jumping around here, but there's just, my mind is going off at 100 miles an hour with all these ways you could market this. But with the subscription, you could run a campaign to, again, offering the subscription of like, hey, we've just launched this new subscription service. You could, and we're going to give away 5 subscriptions, to this is not so much of a localized thing, but this is a broader thing. But we're going to give away 5 subscriptions to those if you do X, Y, Z, or whatever. If you, I don't know, you tag the whatever it is, but you could, you can. It's just things like that. You've got to get creative. So I think, but you've got the different tools, you've got the different, so you've got the subscription, you've got the workshops, you've got the store. You've just got to get much more creative with it. And I think, thinking if the key is driving footfall into the stores, that's really what this is about. You need to come up with excuses, frankly, of how you can get people to the stores.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense. There's that, and I think don't worry about, I know, because I can imagine you're probably thinking from a paid side, because I think that's what I'd be doing that straight away. You're probably thinking, oh, well, that's going to be, it's daunting. How do I do that? You need to find someone that can set up. I wouldn't be worrying about someone necessarily managing it. I mean, it's always a chicken egg, because you'll get better performance if someone is managing it. But when it's really, really small, you just need someone. I mean, heck, if you want us to set up, it's getting something set up and then someone showing you how to manage it. Is really going to be key, because you're going to be starting in a very modest way. But frankly, if you're running a small campaign, it's on Advantage Plus, you've got your creative and you know the basics of how to manage it, you can get it to a certain point yourself just through kind of knowing the basics and using a big helping of common sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So don't threat about that, and don't think, oh, I'd love to do it, but it sounds daunting, therefore I won't do it, because you can start in a relatively small way. And then you can build it out. And then what I'd be doing is I'd be thinking, right, what creative ways can I drive footfall to the store? Have you ever did you do a launch event, for example, when you opened the store?
At the time, we had the mayor come and open the shop. I've had a piece in the local paper. We did a 2-year anniversary event, I guess like a day.
That sort of thing. And I bet you saw an uptick in sales off those days, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Then why are we not? When have you done one of them in the last year?
Probably not. No.
There you go. So you've got to having the store, and there's lots of different elements here. So I would be doing the paid social, because I think that is just, localized, as we've said, we've discussed. Get that set up, chuck 20, 30 pounds at it a day. 30 pounds a day, you're going to spend £1,000 on ads. That's not much locally, and then measure that over the next 90, 180 days and measure the performance. I can pretty much guarantee, I can absolutely guarantee, if you do that and you set it up within a 5-mile radius and you have a mix of different creative, your P&L will show a noticeable difference in terms of what you are turning. You will get back to what you were turning last year just by doing that. Okay. Then on top of that, I would also be thinking, right, how do I get more people? How do I raise brand awareness? And I think the idea of events and stuff like that, I would be thinking, what excuse can I have to get creative to drive more footfall into the stores? I don't know what the answer is for that, but you could have a think, what is there any anniversaries? Is there any particular times of the year? Is there anything happening? I don't know. Is there anything happening within Cirencester that you could tap into, and to make your store part of the community, stuff like that?
Yeah.
Then in addition to that, I'd be thinking, you've got the workshops. So I'd be using that to, again, do you ever talk about the workshops on your email list? Have you talked about the subscription service to your email list?
Yes. So workshops, I launch to my email list first, and that generates quite a lot of places go straight away. And I've got a separate email list for subscription people who are interested in subscription box.
Okay.
So I target those as like the VIP list. So they'll be the first to hear when the next box is launched and how many spaces are available. We've made it limited. We've made it quite exclusive. Yeah,
that's good. So you're doing that, but you're missing a trick, not deploying that email list into Meta. That is an absolute no-brainer. You need to be doing that. What you also need to be doing is on with Google. Again, this is probably something I wouldn't worry about this right now, but this is once you've got paid social, so Meta up and running, I would absolutely be focused on Meta right now. I wouldn't be worrying about Google. But once you've got Google up and running, so maybe in 6 months from now, then want something maybe for, as you say, 6 months, is then be thinking about from, again, super localized Google ads for those that are looking for plant shops, stuff like that. But again, very, very localized, because anyone that's on Google, and the reason Google can be very powerful is because there's search intent, right? They're going on to Google and they're looking. I'm looking for a plant shop or indoor plants or this or that or the other. If they're doing that and they're within your local area, hey, you want to be popping up. Now you are coming up organically. When I looked, I looked up, plant shops near Cirencester, stuff like that, because Google knows you're there. You are coming up, which is great.
Yeah.
But when people don't put the exact location on it, but then maybe within a 5-10 mile radius, and they're looking for indoor plant shops, stuff like that, you want to be coming up. But that will cost you, the cost per click on that will probably be prohibitive right now. So for me, you need to get back to doing 100, 150K, and then I would be looking to bolt this on.
Right. Okay.
So does that make sense? Yeah. So stepping stones, I would be thinking, right, first, you've got to get paid social set up, localized, Advantage Plus. That will give you prospecting, retargeting, enable your brand to essentially wave the flag, say, hey, we're here, we're local, this is what we do. And you mix up the creative, right? And I think you put your face to some of that creative. You really say, this is who I am, this is what I'm about. Yeah. Tell your story. People love the story. You also then bolt on with that and think, right, how can I be creative with maybe events, maybe a launch, something, find an excuse so you can run an open day or an open afternoon, or come and have a glass of champagne or a glass of Prosecco, and, whatever. There needs to be a reason, but it gives you an excuse to drive footfall, to exactly like you did when you launched. You had the mayor down, you had this, you did an anniversary. Brilliant. You will see an uptick in sales. Then if you bolt on a competition onto that in some way, tag us on Instagram, do all of that, you're gonna start to increase that brand awareness. Then in 6 months, once you've seen the uplift from that, then I'd be thinking about Google, and then you'll just grow from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Good. I want to look at if there's any other your questions. So that hopefully gives you food for thought in terms of what you should be doing in terms of targeting campaigns and which platforms. Hopefully that sort of answers that. I think budget wise, but I would be starting £25-30 a day. And then I'd be going up from there. Don't start with like a $5. You're just not going to touch the sides. But equally, you don't need to be thinking, I've got to apportion thousands and thousands of pounds to get going with this, because you are going to target this to a local area. I mean, we do masses on a bigger scale, but we do so much localized ads for brands where they have showrooms, they have physical stores, and it's just brilliant because you're just constantly keeping that awareness. Anyone that's in, oh yeah, I want to go to that sofa shop, oh yeah, I want to go to that hot tub showroom, but you're just there, and that's the sort of thing. And you need to be doing exactly the same.
Okay. Just getting the brand at the forefront of people's minds.
Exactly. It's just staying top of mind. It's think from your perspective. Any products that you that you buy, any brands that particularly localized stuff, why are they top of mind? Why do you think of them? It's because you see them. They're there, and right now you've got your store, you're putting stuff out on your organic socials, but organic social has so little reach these days that all of that good stuff that you're creating, only the people that are actively following you are seeing it. And that's great. And don't stop doing it. You absolutely need to keep doing that. Yeah. But you need to be getting new people in. So you're missing the trick on two things. You're not getting new people because you're not doing any marketing, you're not proactively advertising. Mm-hmm. And those that are engaged with you, that are on your email list, that are coming onto your website, you're not re-engaging them with socials. So you need to be doing that as well. And then the third element is you need to be getting creative and finding, frankly, excuses to drive people to the store. Okay. So it's those three things you need to be doing. Okay. Yeah? Yeah. In terms of, I'm just going to go through if there's any other points you asked. In terms of ROI expected, on ads, again, that's the wrong question at this stage in where you are. Because don't be putting it in thinking, oh, well, I've, and I've seen it and you've probably done it. And I see it all the time is brands go, well, I'll put 500 quid in, or I'll put a couple of grand in, or I'll put a few thousand in, and we'll measure the response. A high tide raises all the boats. You run localized ads, you are going to see a difference in the overall sales and the footfall, and just frankly, the noise that your brand will be making, which will translate into sales. There's no doubt in my mind. Yeah. in terms of what analytics tools are you tracking with GA4 at the minute? Have you got Google Ads, Google Analytics 4 set up?
So I don't know anything about analytics. I
Okay.
heard in one of your other podcasts the term Google Search Console. So I immediately downloaded that and looked at it, and it means really nothing to me.
Okay, right. Well, let me give you. So, Google. I'm great that you've installed Google Search Console. It's brilliant. Again, it's not something that you're going to necessarily use right now because you're too
Okay.
small. But as you grow, but it's amazing you've set it up, and I would absolutely be looking into it because it will educate you. It will inform you. The Google Search Console will tell you a million things. Have you got it set up and verified? Now, is it verified when you go in? Does it show you some data, clicks and impressions and so on?
Yes, yeah.
Amazing. Right, grand. So what you need to be doing, the only thing I would ask you to look at is on the left-hand side, under overview, it says performance.
Yep.
In there, if you look just slightly to the right, you then have a search type and then you have a date range. The longest you can go back, if you click that, the longest you can go back is 16 months on the date range. So it's not something you need to do now, but you can go back and basically what you can get, if you scroll down that performance page, you'll have a bunch of tabs. It'll say queries, pages, countries, devices, and so on.
Yeah.
Go to the queries. Are you in it now? I can tell you're doing it now.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Yeah. Right. So when I put 16 months, it'll only go back to when I set it up.
Yeah, because exactly that. But I'm just saying you can go back as far as that. Now you've got it set up because you probably won't be needing this for 16 months, which is great you've set up now because in a year, if you'd only set it up in a year's time, that data is going to now accrue. So this is why it's great you've set up now because you won't really be utilizing this data, but it's going to build for the next 12 months, which is brilliant because often it's, if you hadn't listened to the pod, there you go. For anyone, make sure you listen to the Growing Evergreen pod. But if you hadn't listened to the pod and you hadn't set it up, in a year from now, you'd be saying, right, how do we take the brand to the next level? And someone like me would say, oh, have you got GSC? Because that's going to be a real treasure trove of search terms. And you'd go, what is it? And then you haven't got the data. Whereas you can now, in a year's time, be able to go, yes, I listened to Aaron on the pod. And so I've got it set up. And look at all this data I've got. So in there, you'll have a bunch of queries, right?
Yeah.
Right. So you've got clicks and impressions, order by impressions for me. So if you just click impressions, what are some of the top terms that are coming up?
Okay.
Number one,
moss balls.
Okay,
top
fine.
3.
But if you have a look, but again, what you're going to see is is there any kind of shop terms or store terms or anything that essentially what it's going to do is it's going to tell you how people are finding and landing on your website from organic. So not ads because you're not running any ads, but how people are finding your store. Now, if that data has only just started to accrue, it's not going to be super useful. But keep an eye on it. Check it once or twice a month. And what you will start to see, if you look at clicks, if you look at impressions, so if you order by clicks, what's the top terms? Is it brand?
It's a fertilizer that we stock. And then
fine.
Everything that I'm seeing is specific plants.
Fine. So that means Google's starting to, so that means because it's your small website, Google is starting to see you as it's attributing visibility to specific products and specific categories, which is fine, nothing wrong with that. As that data builds, what you want to be seeing for your business is people that you want to see Cirencester terms, you want to see maybe Gloucestershire terms, you want to see plant store, indoor plants, the slightly more generic terms where people are looking, and that will give you a flavor of how people search, what the sort of things they search for.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And equally, so all this is just going to be built as a load of data that you can, that's going to tell you how people are finding your website. And in time, what you'll see is if you see, for example, you're starting to see loads and loads of search for a particular type of plant, then that might indicate that actually there's a lot of interest in this plant. Maybe from a marketing perspective, from an email marketing, from what I should be putting out on socials, from what I should be quite literally putting in the front window, maybe I need to be doing more about X type of plant or Y type of problem because clearly there's a lot of people searching for that. And so it really just provides intel. It just gives you insights for how people are using online. In the same way as if someone came into store, they would ask you questions and they go, okay, how this and why and when and who and how. This is going to give you the online equivalent.
Brilliant.
Which is why it's super useful.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah? That makes the whole thing make sense because I've been looking at
the rest of
for
it.
a few weeks.
Well, that's my pleasure. Don't worry about the rest. The rest of it, you don't have to worry about.
Okay,
and
cool.
and so I would just look at that, and it's just more, one evening if you're bored, sit there and go, oh, actually, this is quite interesting, and you'll have a little, look at it. It's going to tell you a huge amount.
Yeah.
One other
Okay.
question, just to go back a little bit: when people come into the store, are you collecting any of their information, their emails, their names, stuff like that? Obviously, you will be if they buy, I assume.
So if they choose to have an email receipt, then they put their email address in.
Okay,
But many
but if they
people
don't
don't.
buy, are you doing anything? Is there, because another thing I'd be doing, thinking about getting creative, you've got to incentivize. I would be, for every single person that walks in your store, I'd be wanting to. The aim of the game is you want to capture their data. Why? You can add them to your email list. You can then retarget to them. You can upload that email list into Meta. So what I'd be doing, every single customer that walks into that store, I'd be wanting to capture their name and email. How would I do that? Probably a competition. Maybe I have a monthly plant giveaway. Maybe I don't know. You have something. A competition. Opportunity to attend one of our workshops free. Because if I'm in the store, not everyone's going to give you their email, but it's a small store. You're going to be talking
Yeah.
to them. They're going to be asking you questions. Hey, do you want to just pop your email down? Because we run a monthly competition, and we can then let you know when we're running our upcoming events or our next workshops. Some are going to say no, some are going to say yes. But everyone that says yes, that's an additional person that hasn't bought there and then, but you instantly have the ability to stay in their mind's eye moving forward. Otherwise, they leave the
Yeah.
store. They might never come back.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
That's a really
don't
good
just
idea.
rely on the sales.
Yeah. The other thing that we do is we've got like a little frame next to the till, and if anybody says, "Oh, this is a really lovely plant shop," or I've given them advice, I say, "If you don't mind, there's a QR code at the bottom of our poster next to the till. Could you just leave us a Google review?"
Okay.
So I try
Yeah,
and drive
good.
people to leave us reviews.
Yeah,
That doesn't
again.
collect their data, I guess, but it
Yeah, that's again a good thing to
helps with
have.
authority, I suppose,
But I
online.
think if you want someone, yeah, no, that's gonna help you. What my challenge to you on that is how do they benefit? So they might have benefited because you've given some added value, and they might be
Yeah.
feeling in a good mood. They might do it. You'll get a better uptake if you say, "Hey, I'll do this for you if you do something for me." So
Yeah.
it's if you offer. That's why if you incentivize, "Hey, we're running a monthly giveaway. We're doing a competition." I'm a massive fan of recurring themes. Like the podcast, we record these podcasts. They come out every week. We've given them a label. It's called Grow with Evergreen. We run our tea talks. We have our uncut series. We have lots of things. So from a store perspective, if I was running your store, what I'd be thinking is it's that repetition. You need to build like and trust. You need customers to buy from you to become a habit, right? Because there's only so many people that are physically in Cirencester that are going to buy. So what you need to do is you need to think about customers from a lifetime value perspective, because there's no reason why a customer wouldn't buy from you multiple times a year. And so what
Yeah.
you need to do is be thinking not about, in part, new customers, which is where, okay, we need to get paid, we need to use paid and stuff like that. But also you need to be staying top of mind with those customers. And for that, you can't just hammer them with buy the product, buy the product, buy the product. You've got to come up with more creative ways. And that's why I think a combination of, hey, I've got the workshops, I'm running competitions, I'm doing this special open day event where we're going to do this, come and have a free glass of Prosecco, all of those sort of things to make a customer build know, like, and trust, and so that coming to your store becomes a habit. Why do you think Tesco and Sainsbury's are so, such massive companies? It's a habit, right?
Yeah.
We're all addicted to going there routinely. On a much smaller scale, you need to be thinking about that, so that if you can increase the frequency and get, do you know the average frequency of people returning to buy from you? So how many people
No,
buy once and then buy again?
I don't know. I don't
So
know.
I
I don't
would
know
go
where
through
to
your
look to find
data.
that information even.
So the way you collect that data, you pull off all your sales in the last year, 2 years, and
Uh-huh.
you look at how many people have bought more than once on more than one occasion.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how you do it. So you pull off your sales data, you go through it, and because what you want to understand is how many new customers am I getting on an average month, and how many repeat customers am I getting on an average month? Because if
Yeah.
you can do that, because that, again, I would be measuring and tracking that moving forward. So I'd be saying, right, actually, at the moment, only 10, 15% of our customers are returning. If we can get that to 30, 40%, what you're doing is you're increasing your average, you're increasing your lifetime value. So
Okay.
if someone buys from you once, they might spend 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds, whatever. But if you can know that, a higher percentage of your customers come back within 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, and they buy again, that's just going to have a massive compounding effect. But to facilitate that, yes, you need to be on Meta, doing what was discussed. Then in time, 6 months from now, probably need to start to think about Google. But you also then need to be getting creative with the events, and with having occasions, make occasions. And then I'd be leveraging online, clever little things, initiatives that make people think, yeah, I will sign up for that. Yes, I am interested in this. Yes, I would like to stand a chance of winning that in a competition, or finding out when Kate's next running a workshop. These kind of things. It's all about staying top of mind.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good. Any other questions? Anything else you want to discuss? There's a lot there. You're going to have to probably watch this back a couple of times because we've covered a lot.
Yeah, I've made a few notes, but I'll listen to it back. I guess the only other question is, so when the reason I haven't made any ads is because I don't know what makes a good ad.
Okay.
And I don't want to feel like I'm just throwing money at a rubbish ad. So are there any tips on what does a good one look like?
No, so I can't tell you what a good one looks like, but you can go and find out for yourself. And you know how you do that? You go on all of your you go in all your competitors, both local and some of the bigger boys.
Okay.
You go on you just go on all their websites. Okay. Yeah. Have a good look around, look at a few products, click around, go onto their blogs, have a good look around. Yeah. And then pick up your phone and look how much you're being retargeted. Yeah. Because you will then be retargeted by everyone, because they'll all be wanting to go, hey, you've shown an interest in buying a product, because they won't know who you are. Yeah. Okay. And then you just take screenshots of all of those competitors, all those ads that are coming up, and you look at the engagement of those ads. You look at what grabs your attention when you're scrolling through your Meta and your Facebook feed and your Instagram feed. And that's going to give you a plethora of ideas. Right. Yes, there are more advanced ways you can do it. You can troll through the Meta libraries and so on. But for you, let's keep it simple, stupid, right? The KISS analogy. Absolutely. That's all you need to do. You go on all your competitors' websites, and then you just wait to be retargeted, and you will see a whole bunch of different ads. You'll see different calls to action. You'll see different types of creative. You screenshot a whole bunch of them, and you see, what stands out to you? What's got good engagement? You look through the comments. What are people saying? And that will give you the bones of some ideas. Then I don't know whether you would do it or you'd get someone else, but you start, as you said, I think you mix it up. I'd be trying 3 or 4 different types of creative.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't overcomplicate it. That's what I'd be doing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And remember with this, I think there's a temptation sometimes to want to procrastinate. You procrastinate because you want it to be perfect. So it's like, I'm not going to launch it. When you launch your first ad, they're not going to be perfect. It's fine. They don't need to be. Yeah. So don't worry about crafting the perfect ad, because if you want to do that, you'll never get a thing live.
It's like you've seen into my soul.
I speak to a lot of business owners, right? So I just, don't sit on it, because you will. And what I don't want you to do is sit and think about it for the next, 6 months, and then, end up with a business where, okay, the revenues year on year, because you're gonna feel that, is that, you're gonna have those moments where you sort of go, this is proving to be really, really tough. Take the bull by the horns, go and implement this stuff. The things we've discussed, you could map all of this out. And the best way you should be doing it, you go and find someone to help you get the meta ad set up, get a recommendation, go and speak to, put something out on LinkedIn, say, who can help me do this? I don't want someone to manage it. I just want someone to set it up for me and then show me the ropes and then leave me be. And then that person will be top of mind when the business grows, right? You'll find someone that can do that. Then what I would be doing in terms of the other things we've discussed, listen to this back, make some notes, take yourself out of environment, right? Go and sit, if the weather continues to be as gorgeous as it is right now, go and sit outside in a field, by some trees, in a picnic table, and just out of environment, map out what this business needs to look like in 12 months, what it's going to look and feel like. So, okay, I've got the store. In 6 months, I need to have run 3 events. I need to be having a monthly competition that I'm running. I need to be doing this. I need to be doing this. I need to be doing this. Map all of those things out and then break it down and go, right, so if that's where the business is going to be in 12 months, in 6 months, I need to have done half of that stuff. Right, the biggest priority for the next 6 months is to do this. Within the next 6 months, right, next 3 months, these are my priorities. Give yourself no more than 3 priorities, and then you go and smash through them. You do that.
Yeah, so like work backwards.
Work backwards. Start at 12 months and then just work backwards. And then you're laughing. And that just take, and then just give yourself no more than 3 things, and then you just push on, and you'll make progress. Don't sit on this for 3 months and procrastinate.
Okay.
Don't. I'll get the ump.
Okay. Okay, Aaron,
All
sorry.
right. All right, good. Right. Well, look, Kate, thank you so much for being on. I hope it's been useful and you've got a few takeaways and giving you food for thought. I know I'm a little bit harsh, but it's because I want you to grow your business, because I think the shop aesthetic, from what I've seen on the website, looks fab. So I might have to swing by sometime.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been super useful. Really appreciate it.
Good stuff. Kate, thank you so much for being on. Best of luck with it, and keep us posted how you go, yeah? All the best. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Well, there you go. That was Kate. Had to be quite hard with Kate there, but I just think, so many. I mean, we don't work with many really small businesses like Kate, but the fundamentals there, I think there's so many things that she's not doing that she just needs to do, and real basics that I think there'll be people watching this, whether you're the same sort of size or you're bigger or whatever the product. I think it's so easy to be busy running the business that actually you forget to market it. And sometimes you do just need that outside perspective looking in and kind of going, you're not marketing this business, really. And there's so many things that you could and should be doing to stay top of mind. Because for this business, how she increased the revenue, it's increasing that lifetime value for this. And I think hopefully we've given her a few things to think about, and hopefully maybe given you some things to think about as well. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. It's been good fun. Right, and as I said at the top, if you're in and around Cirencester, go and check Kate, because I think Kate would look after you. I think she'd definitely be able to give you some plant knowledge and expertise. So remember, the website is fern-ivy.co.uk, based in Cirencester. Go and check them out. Thank you so much for sticking with me on this podcast. Having so much fun doing these. I love it. It's the best part of my week. If you haven't already subscribed on YouTube, we're on YouTube. We are on Spotify. Darren keeps reminding me we're now on Apple Podcasts. Yes, we are, aren't we? We are.
Yes, we are. We are in all the good places.
Well, aren't we just? We're spoiling you rotten. But yeah, so you can find it on YouTube. And as we're recording this, we've just put out a post. We've just passed 300 subscribers, which I'm delighted about.
Yeah,
it's
fantastic.
amazing. As I put a post out on LinkedIn yesterday that was saying, 300, and people might go, 300? Is that all? But I've said
they're 300 listeners.
There are 300 people that have actively said, do you know what? I want to listen to Aaron ramble on for an hour. It's, but I think, and I think there's something in that for, I've said it time and time again, but the power of content, whether it's
Absolutely.
a podcast or this is what we're doing here is long form content, where we're adding real genuine value, I hope. And we're really helping people. And it's so powerful. And from our perspective, we're seeing leads coming in already. It's unbelievable. And we're having conversations, and everyone is going, loving the pod, loving the tea talks, loving the uncut.
Well, I saw a really interesting, this is just a little bit of a side stat here, but I saw a really interesting stat about podcasts the other day, which was 92% of podcast listeners listen to the full episode.
92. Who's the 8 that's gone? Who are the 8 that have gone?
They're not here. They're not listening.
Exactly. How dare they leave? Not really. That I would say that's quite high.
That is high.
That's really high.
Yeah. But then again, when was the last time you listened to a podcast and you didn't listen to the whole thing?
It is true, actually. Yeah, you do, because you get invested, don't
you?
So it's, and obviously the 92% that will have listened to the end of this, they now get to hear you and me talking about the 92%.
Yeah.
So it's,
they're the lucky ones that get to hear me.
Well, there you go. See, that's it. We keep the Brucey bonus till right at the end, don't we? We drop it in. Darren makes a little cameo at the end. But yeah, I think the long form content is so powerful. And I think, for brands that are, whatever you're creating, whether it's video or podcast, whatever. But I think if you can do it with consistency, is what I was saying to Kate, is if you could just be consistent and get creative with it, have some fun with it, put a label on it.
Absolutely.
It works, it resonates.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So if you haven't subscribed, as we're recording this, we just passed 300. When this comes out in a few weeks, who knows how many? We might be living the dizzy heights of maybe 350. Who knows? But we're up to 300 plus now, which is amazing. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. And if you want to come on this podcast, if you want to have a chat with me for an hour, about your paid media, your marketing. If you're a home, garden, or lifestyle brand and you've got marketing challenges and you want to grow, but you don't know how, maybe you're confused, whatever stage you're at in your journey, I'd love to have that chat. All you've got to do is go on our website, click the podcast button, which is in the menu. You fill in the application, and then we'll get back to you and we'll get you booked in, and we can have a little chitty chat. All right. Thanks so much for joining. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more, well, on the left side of the screen, you'll find a video that YouTube has handpicked just for you. On the right, you'll find our latest video hot off the press. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments, subscribe, and hit that notification button. Thanks for watching.